Thank you for having me. Today I'd like to talk to you about maker education. Let's start with how the maker movement began.
This is Ted. He is an ophthalmologist and eye doctor. One of his favorite hobbies is buying new technology and disassembling the old versions to repurpose them. Now, meet Henry. By day, he runs a gourmet sandwich shop. By night, he builds custom computers, jailbreaks cell phones, and writes code for his own video games. And this is Wade. He is a programmer. In his spare time, he works on motors, etch metals, and he likes to tinker with hardware. Tinkerers, hobbyists, hackers, and tech-interested do-it-yourselfers like Ted, Henry, and Wade may have exchanged ideas online in chat rooms, but overall, their access to each other was relatively limited. They were, by and large, tinkering on their own. This changed with the publication of Make magazine in 2005, and the first Maker Fair the following year. The magazine and fair connected people from varied backgrounds who were interested in technology and DIY projects. The Maker movement was born. Once connected, groups of makers would find places where they could gather regularly. They gathered to share equipment, exchange ideas, and help each other create. These places became known as maker spaces. As the maker movement gained momentum, more and more maker spaces were created. Although most users of maker spaces were adults, inspirational stories of teens and children drawn to the maker movement started to emerge. A 12-year-old built a robot. He called it the mosquito robot. It is designed to help fight malaria. Then there's the story of 9-year-old Kane. He built a cardboard arcade. His arcade inspired a filmmaker, and this filmmaker made a film about this boy that inspired thousands more. These and many other stories about young makers highlighted the link between making and learning. Specifically, that when children are provided with the resources and opportunities for creating with technology rather than simply consuming technology, they engage in meaningful learning. They become self-directed learners. So what would happen if, instead of having children access the maker movement by chance encounters, the maker movement is intentionally introduced to large groups of children? That is, what if formal education receives a dose of maker movement? Perhaps then those children who are not excelling under the current school structure might have an avenue to engage in meaningful learning too. And children's interest in studying science, technology, engineering, and math might increase. And children's creativity and passion might be encouraged. These are the hopes of the current maker education trend. Maker education, broadly defined, refers to hands-on, open-ended, student-driven learning experiences. It shares many similarities with project-based learning and experiential learning. But maker education has a stronger emphasis on student choice. That is, each student chooses what to make and how to make it. It is the choice that gives students the freedom to explore and pursue their interests. And it is the choice that promotes self-directed learning. Imagine this. A classroom on a school campus is cleared of its usual desks and chairs. Stations are set up around the room. One station has the tools for cutting materials, from scissors, cardboard saws, wire cutters, paper cutters, to perhaps even a laser cutter. Another station has the tools for design, paper, pencils, grids, tablets, and computers. Then there are other stations, and they have tools for printing, for electronics, for soldering, for adhesive, etc. Then there are materials. Some are new and some are waiting to be repurposed. This is a maker space, a place where maker education can come to life. A school makerspace like the one we just imagined opens up a world of possibility for teachers who believe in harnessing the power of making. Students could participate in all 3 categories of maker projects. A small percentage of maker education time is spent on directed projects. The purpose of directed projects would be to teach new skills, introduce new tools, or go over safety precautions. About 30% of the time would be spent on guided projects. These are projects in which students follow a set of instructions or guidelines. These scaffold student learning of new concepts, ideas, materials, and tools. Following instructions also require listening, reading informational text, interpreting the author's intent, and inferring steps that are not explicitly stated. These guided projects can be meaningful practice and application of academic skills. The bulk of the time in maker education is spent on open projects, where students choose what to make and how to make it. These open projects can be in response to a challenge or a set of constraints. To get a flavor of maker education, let's look at some maker learning experiences. Maker challenge. Using primarily cardboard, build something that you find interesting. Let's pause for a moment here. If you were given this challenge in class, what would you make? What would you be excited about? This is an open challenge. Students have responded with a variety of projects, of course. The process is like rolling together art, science, and engineering to express non-verbally something about oneself. This is very attractive. Students make connections across subjects while they are designing and building, and they are very proud of their products. Another maker challenge. Create a video game not controlled by the mouse or keyboard. The main tool for this challenge is the Makey along with the Scratch programming language. The Makey is an electronic invention kit that uses alligator clips to connect conductive materials to computer inputs with a board. Once students become familiar with the Makey board, their creativity and imagination takes over and a huge variety of projects have been born. And another maker challenge, design a light-up card with paper circuits. LED lights, copper wire, batteries, and a bit of soldering creates circuits that light up student creations. Now with adhesive LEDs and copper tape, even younger students who can't do soldering can incorporate lights in their designs. And finally, a maker challenge with Ozobots. Create a community for Ozobots and program the bots to rest when they get home. The color sensors on Ozobots allow them to be programmed through color coding. Young students start grasping the idea of control through coding using color markers. Then they graduate to using the programmable language Blockly. Here, a group of students created a community and designed a home for each of their Ozobots.
Nope, I'm not going that direction. Everybody go into the downtown district. Now we're all in downtown this time. We were here in the suburbs. Mom, wait, that's downtown suburbs. Out. And so right now we're all in downtown. I'm in the edge of, I'm just off-road. I kind of flew into a building.
While designing and building, they talked about the downtown, suburbs, and rural sections. They talked about the types of roads and density. These were their organic conversations and not teacher-led. They were obviously applying both logic to their coding and their social studies knowledge to their design. They were integrating their knowledge as they played. These examples are just a tiny glimpse of what maker education looks like. In fact, the beauty of maker education is its flexibility. You don't actually need that dedicated makerspace in school we imagine to start making with your students. A small corner or even a bin of supplies will do. And the supplies need not be expensive to start. It is the openness of the maker approach and not the availability of any given tool that gives students the freedom to become self-directed learners. I challenge you to give maker education a try. set aside some time for this hands-on, open-ended, student-driven experience. Watch your students create. Listen to their conversations. You'll be pleased with how much information they have learned. But more importantly, you'll be amazed at how their brains synthesize the bits of information into knowledge that they are applying in pursuit of an idea that is all their own. Both the process of making and the final product they make are evidence of the knowledge they have constructed in their mind. They are showing you that they have successfully learned. Thank you.